Welcome to the CPM Customer Success Podcast, where we help Office of Finance leaders find an exact solution to enhance their corporate performance without spending countless nights and weekends in the office. I am your host, Andy Smetana from Nova Advisory. Nova Advisory is a 100% OneStream professional services diamond implementation partner. We help OneStream customers and prospective OneStream customers get the most out of their OneStream investments. And speaking of getting the most out of your OneStream investment, we have a special download for you to help you make the best CPM investment decision for your organization. So you can check that out now at Nova Advisory's website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and download our free CPM Customer Success Software Evaluation and Criteria and Selection Workbook. Each of the criteria is described in more detail in an episode of CPM Customer Success. The workbook identifies each episode. They'll help you explore deeper what makes OneStream unique as compared to other CPM solutions available in the marketplace. It'll guide you through your CPM decision process, and it's free now to listeners, so check that out. In this episode, we have a special guest, Gabby Morales, the Global Financial Systems Manager at IPS Corporation. IPS Corporation is the leading manufacturer of solvent, cements, primers, sealants, plumbing, and roofing products, as well as structural and assembly adhesives for contractors, plumbers, and fabricators that are used in construction, industrial, and manufacturing applications. Gabby shares today her journey implementing OneStream at multiple organizations, including the challenges she has faced, the strategies she's used to drive user adoption, and get the most from the OneStream platform. Listeners will learn the value of a comprehensive health assessment of the OneStream platform, how to identify areas for improvement and successfully align the OneStream solution to these areas, and advice for OneStream customers on their keys to success. Okay, today we have a special guest on CPM Customer Success. We have, and I welcome Gabby Morales, who is the Global Financial Systems Manager at IPS Corporation. Welcome to the show, Gabby.
Hi, Andy. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm super excited to have you. I've been looking forward to our conversation, and you're just such a bundle of energy, and I think the audience is just going to love hearing your story. So let's start there. How about why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career?
Of course, I started my professional career in audit. With Anderson when they were around as part of the Big Five. And so I stayed in the public sector for several years. And then I decided to move to the private sector and concentrate more in the accounting field. And so I landed a job at a global food processor company. And while I was there, the company was looking to replace their consolidating system. And so the whole accounting team was part of selecting or the presentations they had with the different systems they were looking at. So this is where I first heard of OneStream and where I first saw OneStream in action. And so the whole accounting team was excited, honestly, about OneStream. We saw how user friendly it was. We could see how it could benefit our processes, even from the presentation of the system. So we were hoping the company would select OneStream. And so when the company announced that, yes, they decided to go with OneStream, we were all excited and we were looking forward to working with the system. And so the controller of the company approached me and asked me if I wanted to be part of the implementation team. And of course, I said yes right away. I was super excited. I was looking forward to using the system to be part of the implementation. That was just mega exciting. I said yes. And so he put me in touch with the Nova team. This is when I started working with the Nova team. And this is how I started my OneStream journey. And now I'm at IPS as the Global Financial Systems Manager.
Fantastic. Thanks for that background. So why don't you just tell us the story about IPS? So you've got obviously multiple OneStream experiences and implementations under your belt at this point, but we're focused on the IPS Corporation's journey with OneStream. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about that story?
Of course. The story of OneStream at IPS, Andy, was is a little interesting or very interesting. I was aware that IPS had OneStream in place. And so I was just excited to see how this company was using OneStream. So I couldn't wait to get there and see what solutions they were using, what kind of activity they had in the system. So as soon as I got there, that's the first thing I do. I go and log into the OneStream application, looking around, what is it that they do with the application or in the application? How many users do they have in the system? And to my surprise, I noticed that there was not a lot of activity going in the system or through the application, and they only had one internal user set up in the system. And he was from the IT department. So that was concerning to me. So I knew that I needed to meet with the controller to understand more what the focus of OneStream was here at IPS. So I met with the controller, and while I'm in the meeting, I came to find out that the company had employee turnover and the users that were part of the implementation were no longer with the company. So we really didn't have anyone internally to guide us and explain to us the process, what kind of requirement sessions they had. We didn't have anything like that internal, right? The controller had experience in OneStream, and I had just implemented the system at the other organization. So we knew, and it was clear to us, that the project was not scoped correctly. So we decided to take a step back and rescope the project. So that to me meant completing a health assessment of the system.
So let's talk about what you mean by health assessment, Gabby. So you mentioned you identified that kind of need to perform a health assessment. What does that mean for you? What did it mean for IPS? And what process did you go through to complete that?
Yes, so once I got the okay from the controller to work with the Nova team, I got in touch with them and requested a meeting with the architect on the project. It was important to me to partner up with him to create this health assessment of the system. That person would, or the architect would concentrate more on the technical side of the system, like your business rules, your transformation rules, your connections. So the technical side, right? And I would concentrate more on the administrator side of the system. So thinking of what I had just done at the prior company, what processes could I maybe implement here at IPS that would help the business? So I just started looking at the assessment, and just to mention a couple of things that I noted, the system was set up and they were only using one of the UD dimensions. There are 8 user defined dimensions that we could be using. So I knew there was room for improvement there. I know that the company, or I knew that the company had different customers, different products, different cost centers. So I knew that we could use more, if not all of those different dimensions. So that was one thing I noted. And I think one of the most significant findings I noted in the assessment was the lack of extensibility. I believe that if you are a global company or you are a company that has different business units, you have to have extensibility set up in the system. This allows and flexibility to your business units, right? You can have the setup at a higher level at the corporate level, but a more detailed level to the business units. For instance, account dimensionality. You could have the setup for corporate at a higher level. So maybe just a parent account and maybe a sub parent account, that high level. But at your business unit level, you can have all the detail accounts for your business units to be able to do more detailed analyses to the accounts, right? So that gives them more flexibility just to look at those accounts in more detail than at corporate. So extensibility is just mega important for those companies that are global companies or again with various business units. So I just kept on going with the help assessment, noting things like that and making my recommendations. And when we were done, the architect and I met with the controller and presented him the various stage health assessment. And reviewing that with the controller, that's when we started the reimplementation of the system.
Gotcha. Okay. So the word reimplementation can be a little scary for a customer, but I'd like to explore a little bit about what that meant for
Mhm.
you. And as a financial systems manager, you had to own the system, be comfortable that OneStream is providing the value to the organization that you knew it was capable of. So why don't you walk us through what reimplementation meant for you and what that actually included in terms of project scope?
Yeah, and what that really meant to me, Andy, was the opportunity to train the users. I knew that the users had heard of OneStream and they were using more the Excel ad in OneStream, so working more in the Excel spreadsheet than the OneStream application. So I knew that I needed to do some sort of training with them. I wanted them comfortable with the system. I wanted them to be familiar with the system and start using more the OneStream application. So I put a training plan for the users. And with the Nova help, we put together some job aids for the users. Things like how to log into the system, just the basics, right? What does each one of the little icons in the application mean? So that kind of detail training, right? And so I also scheduled a live training with all the users. That gave them the opportunity to see OneStream in action, the actual OneStream application. And then it allowed them to ask me questions about the system, right? To get them more comfortable. I also made sure that they understood I was there to guide them and to help them. I also offered to them the one on one training. If they needed that level of guidance, I'm always available to do one on one training. And I had several users take that option. I think that a lot of the users don't feel comfortable in a group environment to ask questions. So that allowed them to come to me and just ask all the questions that they had about the system.
Perfect. So it's really about when it came to rolling the application back out and ensuring that the users knew how to use the application, getting beyond one one user to get user adoption. But why don't you tell us about the challenges during that reimplementation? So you described a moment ago that only one user dimension was set up, and you knew that there's customers and products and cost centers and all these things that could be taken advantage of. Were those included in the reimplementation, adding those things? And what kind of challenges did the project have?
Yeah, and I think the biggest challenge we had, Andy, was getting into the user's schedule, right? Getting into their calendar was the hardest thing. As we all know, accounting and finance, they're always busy. There is always something demanding their time. So it was really challenging just to get to meet with the users. And I think the other thing that was impacting this was the fact that they had just had an implementation meeting with the prior consultants. So they didn't really see the benefit of meeting with us. It was more like, okay, not again, right? So the approach we took as, or the implementation team, we communicated to them, right? This is really important. We're not here just to set up the system, right? We're not just here to redo it. We want you to be part of the rescope. We want to hear you out. We are here to set it up the way it's going to help you, the way it's going to help you improve your processes. So once the message was clear to them, they opened up their schedule and started meeting with us more. But it's got to be the biggest challenge.
They really needed to see what was in it for them, what the benefit was before they would engage again. Yeah. So let's fast forward towards the end of the project. You have the opportunity now to look back on what you achieved. Why don't you walk us through and describe, what kind of results the project achieved?
Yeah, and Andy, We started with one user in the application. Now we have over 50 users in the application.
Fantastic.
The accounting team is now performing their month-end close processes in OneStream. We even have Task Manager in place, which I believe it is one of the most powerful solutions available. What the way IPS is using Task Manager, we have in there set up the tasks that are due during the month-end close process. We have it by day, by work day. We have it by user, and so the accounting manager holds a meeting with all the users, accounting and finance, and she goes over each of the tasks and wants to find out from the users, is this task completed? If not, why? So I think identifying problems early in the stage would prevent bigger issues, right? So I believe that by having the task manager in place, it's such a great opportunity for the accounting team to be on top of the month then closing schedule, right? And so we also have the help desk, which to me as a administrator, that's a plus. So we're using the help desk. It just focused on OneStream, right? We're not using the organization's help desk, so we're not logging in our tickets with the rest of the IT issues, which could be heavy for the IT department. Understandable. This is more just focused on the OneStream system. So as soon as a user logs in a ticket, I get an email from the system saying, "Hey, there's a ticket that you need to look at." So I go in the system and I start looking at the issue right away and I start fixing the issue right away. So this is crucial because if it's during that month end close process or while they're closing the books, it's crucial for me to know if there's an account that is missing, right? I need to add it right away for them, or if there's a remap that I need to do for them. So being on top of those things is crucial for the accounting team to keep on going with their month-end closes processes. And then we also just re-implemented or not re-implemented, but implemented the account reconciliations in the system. We were completing our account reconciliations in the shared drive, and now they are in OneStream. And then also our finance department, right? They're completing their forecast and their budget in the system. So this is just a win situation.
Yeah.
Um, when we only had one user, now all the users are more comfortable getting into the application, and we are even looking for other solutions to improve our processes in OneStream.
All right. I just counted that you touched on 3 OneStream solution exchange solutions in terms of what you achieved on the reimplementation. So that was Task Manager, the OneStream Help Desk, and account reconciliations. So I'm curious, Gabby, what you've been through OneStream a few times now. What
Mhm.
are some of your favorite aspects you've come to appreciate about the OneStream platform?
Yeah, I have to say, Andy, the solutions available to the users. I remember at the company that I just implemented, OneStream, when we started that project, I think OneStream had about a handful of solutions. Now I go into the marketplace and I think they have over 100 solutions available to the users. That is
Wow.
just amazing to me. And I know they're always listening to the users. So when you see those, when you start working with the system and see those upgrades that they're having for the OneStream application, it's because they're listening to the users. They're improving things on their side because they're always looking to the user and coming up with all these different solutions to help us have better processes.
That's terrific, and I absolutely agree. There's well over 100 now, and the OneStream keeps adding
Yeah.
additional new solutions. Awesome. So why don't we talk about your advice? You've got the few implementations we keep touching on. What for a new customer of OneStream? They've just made their OneStream decision. They're about to begin their implementation. What kind of advice would you offer them?
Yeah, my biggest advice has to be hire your administrator from the get-go. It's really important to have an administrator in place, honestly, because you need the administrator to be familiar with all the processes that are going in there, right? All the system or the implementation. It's important that person sees it from day one. At the end of the project, that's the person that is going to stay and take care of the system. So it's important that the administrator understands everything from day one. So I would recommend that, highly recommend you hired your administrator from day one. I also would love to recommend to train often. You really want all your users to be familiar and know the system well enough to be in it, working in it, right? You could have this powerful tool, but at the end of the day, if the users do not know how to use a powerful tool, it's going to be worthless. So get an administrator right away and train often.
It's great advice. So one of the things we're frequently talking about, Gabby, on this podcast is the role of the implementation partner in helping the customer, acting as a guide and helping the customer through their journey with OneStream, helping them achieve success. So you've been through a couple implementations now, and you've been working with Nova Advisory for several years. Maybe you can touch on the role of the implementation partner and how they've helped you through the process, and what you enjoy about working with implementation partners.
Yeah. And just being honest, Andy, I feel that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Nova team. They were so helpful when I worked with them. I never felt as an outsider. They always made me feel part of the team. And it was, we are implementing the system, right? It was always we. It was never, we are the consultants, you are the outsider. So I'm super grateful with them. They were super patient with me, always guiding me. I learned better when I'm looking at things, and they always made sure that I was hands on, learning with them. So I honestly see Nova as my safety blanket. I know that if I ever need guidance in OneStream, I know they will be there for me. So super glad that I got to work with Nova.
That's awesome. We appreciate the comments. We are super glad that we have the opportunity to work with you, Gabby, and hope that continues, obviously, for a very long time. So let's wrap up this episode. I think that's a good note to start concluding on. Maybe if someone wanted to reach out to you, Gabby, hear your story, maybe collaborate or share information, may they get in touch with you? And what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to contact me through there. I'll be glad to talk to you.
Okay, wonderful. We'll make sure we make note of that as well. And I'm going to do a plug before we wrap up. You are also going to be on an upcoming webinar, this one in Spanish. And so for our Spanish, or our bilingual speakers, rather, if they'd like to hear from you, just watch the Nova Advisory website and LinkedIn page will be announcing that. But excited to have you on that as well, Gabby.
You, yes. Yeah, a todos nuestros amigos en español, por favor, busquen este webcast, va a ser muy interesante y vamos a hablar de todo lo que OneStream puede hacer para ustedes.
All
Basically,
right.
Andy.
My Duolingo will kick in, and I heard you say you're all welcome to join the podcast. It'll be a great experience. So thanks for doing that as well. Well, Gabby, thank you so much for joining this episode of CPM Customer Success. I'm sure those listening will really enjoy hearing your story. So thanks again.
No, thank you, Andy.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of CPM Customer Success. Reminder to check out that CPM Customer Success CPM software evaluation criteria to guide your CPM decision. The OneStream capabilities we've been describing in CPM Customer Success, we dive deeper into those criteria in the workbook. So check that out now at Nova Advisory's website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and download our free CPM Customer Success software evaluation and selection workbook. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of CPM Customer Success.